everybody. Welcome to a new edition of the Vault Podcast. It's 2015. It's a new year, and we're back, and hopefully better than ever, which was only about 3 months so far. So, anyways, I'm Zan, back again. Brent's with us again.
How we doing?
How's it going?
How we doing, guys?
All right, we got to start off. I know it's been a while. Brent, what's been on your playlist lately?
I honestly haven't, ever since, I got stuck in Christmas music for the longest time, and then,
I hear you.
plus ever since then, I've been listening to, anything I can find that's kind of just laid back, slow, and actually rather melancholy.
Do you have any artists that you can think of offhand?
Honestly, I've been listening to a lot of Smashing Pumpkins.
Nice.
I don't know, there's something about them I absolutely love, and I love their, slower stuff, like Disarm,
Mm-hmm.
and Tonight, and stuff like that. There's just a nice tone about all that stuff.
Tonight's awesome. I love that song.
I love all that stuff like that they do. I mean, the other stuff's good. It's just I prefer the, stuff like that. And I don't know, a lot of just kind of weird, different stuff. I lost my satellite XM, so I don't know. I've been listening to even some Elton John and stuff.
Elton John's awesome. I don't care what anybody says.
Oh no, I love it. It was just that was something I didn't get into for the longest time. I'm like, it's Elton John. Why do I care?
Didn't it take you forever to get into Rush, too?
Oh, man. It took me. The first song I heard of Rush was Limelight.
Yeah.
And I absolutely wanted to just destroy the band. I hated everything about the song. I hated the guy's voice. I hated the music. The whole package annoyed the crap out of me. But it was the weirdest thing, though. I heard 2112. Had no idea who it was. And I'm like, dude, these guys are cool. And I think it was actually you that I asked.
Seems like I vaguely remember that, yeah.
And then I heard Suburbs. I was like...
Subdivision.
Subdivisions, yeah, sorry. And I heard that, and I was like, wait a minute. This is all Rush, and why did I hate them? And I started listening to, I know those two songs are really popular, but I started listening to some of the other stuff on their albums, and I still think Limelight is probably the worst song they've put on, but I started looking at the lyrics and everything, I'm like, wow, there's actually something really deeper about these guys than there is a lot of this stuff.
Yeah.
And it sucked me in, and I don't want to get political on here, but I'm a little bit of an Ayn Rand fan. I'm not an objectivist or anything, but I really got into her philosophy in college and stuff. And one of their albums, the 2112 and everything, is a little bit like one of her books, so I'm like, okay, wait a minute. And I started really delving into the lyrics, and I'm like, these guys aren't just, saying random weird crap. I'm like, these guys actually have something to say that's worth listening to.
Mm-hmm.
And for some reason, I just went headlong into it, and I love Rush now. I really honestly do.
I'll still disagree with you on Limelight, though. I think their worst song is Tom Sawyer. I hate that song so much.
That one is not one of my favorites. Subdivisions is actually probably my favorite one of their real big popular songs.
Yeah, same here.
And like I said, Tom Sawyer's not. Once I understood what Limelight was all about and everything, it got a little bit better. But it's still not. I don't know. There's a lot of that song. I can listen to it every now and then, but I can't do it a lot.
Yeah. So moving into mine, and this is going to tie in with our show. It's a new year, and I got on YouTube, and we've talked about this in the past about how you can hate technology with music, you can love it. I use it to my advantage, and one thing I've done actually last 2 nights is I just realized how kind of out of touch I've fallen with music, even metal or bluegrass or anything that I actually like, not just popular music, but stuff I actually like. I realized how far out of tune I am, and that's not even with news or anything. It's just keeping up with albums. And so I was watching some of the top albums that came out in 2014, and it almost, no exaggeration, it almost made me sick because there were so many artists that put out new albums that I love, and not only that, the albums are amazing from what I heard, and I didn't know anything about it just because I wasn't paying attention. So, that's one thing we're going to talk about today. Oh, well, I will tell you about the artists that I found that I've been listening to, because I'll post them on our picks of the week. Some of the stuff from 2014 that I missed out on. as well as some others, just kind of cool stuff I found. But going into tonight's show, basically we're just going to talk about New Year's resolutions. No, we're not going to lose weight. We don't care about. Well, I don't care about that. Maybe you do. But I want to look like a combination of John Levy from Sabotage and Meatloaf. So that's my goal in life.
That's amazing.
All right. Anyway, 2014 New Year's resolutions. Basically, we want to bring up some ideas that might help out not only us, not only stuff we are going to do, me personally anyway, but stuff that you guys can do to help yourself expand your music horizon, help other musicians, help other people discover new music. So the first thing I'll start off with, I forgot something else before we get started. One thing we are going to do is hopefully have better quality shows. In the past, we had some technical difficulties a couple different times. We think we've got that sorted out. We're still running on a shoestring budget, so we're got tin cans and a string right now. Before we were yelling across valleys and canyons, so that's our upgrade we've made. But anyway, we're gonna hopefully have more content. We were trying to do about 1 or 2 reviews a day, and we slacked off on that big time. So hopefully we're gonna pick that up this coming year and get some more out there, get some more stuff out there for you. Okay, now with that, moving on to the resolutions. This one's kind of what I just talked about, and I'm going to do it for sure. Is just buying music, and I don't have a lot of money to spend. I'm not a millionaire, but I'm going to set aside a goal to buy one piece of music at minimum per month, and whether that's a $5 CD or a $30 vinyl, I don't know of too many people that could not but figure that into their budget. And I'm going, I don't want to be stuck like I was missing out on all of 2014, because I was looking up a lot of these bands. I purchased a lot of music, but I didn't purchase very many new music coming out. It was new to me, but it might have been 30 years old. Even still, that's one piece of music that you purchased, and I kind of got out of habit of that this year. So that's one goal you can do: just buy one piece of music a month. Do you have anything to add on that?
It's something I actually desperately need to do. I'm like you. I started looking at what all happened in this past year in music, and with few exceptions, I actually felt pretty terrible. Because, well, I mean, bands that I really, really enjoy, it was like I had to have a friend point me to the new Slipknot. I mean, at one time, I think I had like 15 Slipknot, T-shirts. And, it's one of those, it's like, that was something that I never thought would have happened. It's like, hey, here's this band that used to be one of your favorites, and they put out a new album. Huh? Like I said, I think I checked out a total of like, I don't know, a handful of new albums this year. I mean, I got really into like some older stuff and started going back through, music I'd already known.
Yeah, that's the exact same thing. Mm-hmm.
And, it's great for nostalgia, but it's, really not good for the bands.
Do you think that has anything to do with just kind of the current state of music? Like, it seems like back, I didn't mean to interrupt, sorry, I should have said something. Like, it just seems like to me a lot of the times, like, I'll hear somebody say, this new album by, I'll just use Job for a Cowboy. Apparently they had a new album come out last year, 2014, and it got a lot of really good reviews, and I listened to it, and yeah, it was good, but it was like I've heard that, 100 times. Right. But it's weird because if you go back and listen to, like, some 70s prog rock or something, even though it's old and it's been done, the past 30 years, progressive rock's been around, there's something about that, that piece of music from 30 years ago that sounds something like no other. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, I totally get it. I think a lot of it goes back to what we talked about like a while back. Some of the music, now I'm not saying this specifically about Job for a Cowboy. A lot of music's just made to sell, and like you said, a lot of death metal and stuff like that kind of start sounding the same. Mm-hmm. And I mean, I hate saying it that way, but a lot of it does. It's like, okay, I've heard this, and I've kind of fallen out of love with bands who are shocking just to be shocking.
Yeah, me too.
And that seems to be kind of the going thing right now with a lot of death metal. I mean, I don't want to say all of it is. It's just what I've seen So I think, yeah, I think you're right. It ties back to a lot of the state of the music anymore. Like you said, a lot of that old stuff, is still new to me. I haven't heard anything like it because, a lot of your prog rock stuff is quite a bit different now than where it was.
Mm-hmm.
So, I don't know. Of course, the same problems with your kind of Viking metal, which I used to absolutely love.
I love it too, but it's like you hear it and you're like, okay, it's like kind of the same thing every time. It's like I feel about that and like power metal, like you just described death metal. It just
Yeah.
kind of becomes stagnant, not bad, but just stagnant.
Yeah, and that's one thing I loved about like Dark Throne's latest album is it was totally different.
Yeah, and that's that. I'll leave because you don't know what I'm putting on my picks of the week. I'll leave you kind of waiting on that. But after watching, there was a couple guys on YouTube that did kind of their top albums of 2014, and I found a few, and one of them was Mayhem actually, and I am blown away by what they put out.
Awesome.
I don't even remember the thing, but there is just this. I mean, it is black metal. Don't get me wrong, but it's something like they've not done. I mean, it's like I don't even know how to describe it. It is weird and awesome. And then I found this other band that I can't remember their name right now, but it's like it's kind of like psychedelic black metal. It sounds like kind of 70s psychedelic music with like black metal vocals. I don't know. It's really strange, but that's if you're not paying attention, that's just stuff you miss out on, and I don't want to do that this year. So yeah, that's our goal. Buy one piece of music. Next thing on my list I've got is going to live music or supporting local artists. One example I can use of this, and the kind of, we've talked about in the past how we are kind of tired of going to concerts because of security and maybe money and dealing with people and all this stuff, having to wait through, mystery bands, which may be good or bad, only to see the main artist, whatever. But one thing, it was in December. I went to a place that had, it was a tourist spot, and they had a guy playing a dulcimer, and he was just sitting there playing a dulcimer, and nobody was, giving him tip money, nobody's even paying attention to him, and I was like, and he had a little CD there, and he's like, CDs for sale in the gift shop, and it was Christmas music, but you could tell, like, I loved what he was playing. It was very Renaissance, and we actually have a review on his, I can't remember his name for some reason, but I did a review, and you can find that on our site. But I was like, I'm going to support this guy. Nobody's paying attention to this guy. I'm going to support him. So I went to the gift shop, picked up the CD, and it was a little overpriced for what it was, but I didn't care because I knew he was going to get that money right when he came down from playing. And I don't regret, that's another piece of music I have that's going to, not a lot of people are going to get because it's a local artist. And I got to watch him play live, and just kind of inadvertently. So what do you have to say or add on that?
I don't have a whole lot, honestly, on that because I'm kind of a homebody anymore. I think it's great, though, to go out and actually support local bands and stuff. If there's a venue that you think is, good, safe, as safe as you want to be, whatever, go for it. I think it's great. These local artists, all of your big-time musicians started out playing, local gigs. They had to go somewhere, and, it's pretty cool to sit there and, watch a band. It's like, hey, yeah, I watched them whenever they started, So, I heartily recommend it. Like I said, I don't know that it's something I'm personally going to do because I'm kind of a homebody. If I find myself, like you said, somewhere where some dude's just, like, playing, you bet I'm going to sit back. If I like it, I'm going to buy it.
Yeah, and maybe I should change that back to, like, maybe supporting small-time musicians or local artists because, I'm kind of with you. I don't like to leave the house hardly anymore, but I do, I try to kind of look around and see if there are local bands out, and if they do have albums, be it digital on iTunes, or maybe they have it up for free on their Facebook page, or if they do actually sell music. And I'll go out of my way to purchase it regardless of the cost just because I know it's going to help them out, and I want to support what they do. So
yeah, that's something where technology actually helps, the kind of lazy like us.
Exactly.
Where you can, there's one band that we heard opening for Jake Orvis, and that was Gas Pump Talent.
Right.
and I absolutely loved them. But they didn't have any CDs or anything there, so I had to make contact with them on Facebook. Ended up finding they had it all on iTunes. So, I downloaded the whole album on iTunes. I mean, I'd rather buy something physical, but I did what I could do. I can follow their Facebook page.
Right.
And if they put something new out, they put it on iTunes and stuff like that. Technology's my friend. I can still support them and help them, and still don't have to leave the house.
And if you did leave the house, I mean, you would see, hey, they would say, hey, we're playing here, and you never know, they might end up playing at somewhere where it's actually safe to go to.
Well, right. And see, a lot of those cool bands like that, they play a lot of kind of weirder gigs, like in weird places.
Mm-hmm.
And, some of those places are in, pretty good shape, so.
Yeah. All right, so moving on to the next thing, and it can kind of go what we were just saying. Just generally talking to people about music, family, friends, finding internet, people on the internet. Maybe you don't know them, but finding them in maybe some forums on a news or like a Blabbermouth or Metal Sucks or whatever kind of music site you follow. If there's a forum, maybe just getting in communication, because I can tell you from talking to people from all different walks of life, be it online or in person, there is a lot of times that I've discovered new music or learned something about music just from talking to people. And that can lead to other things too. I mean, you never know when you're talking to people, and the next thing you know, you're doing a podcast like what we're doing right now.
Yep.
Or maybe you form a band, or maybe you start a record label. And there's just all different kinds of scenarios that can happen just from talking to people. But the biggest one is really getting, I guess, mental notes on other bands to check out and other styles of music to check out. So what do you have to say on that?
So I want to go a little bit of a step further. If you don't play an instrument, try to pick one up. I mean, you can find used ones. You don't have to buy anything real fancy. You don't have to have, some big, $1,000 Fender or Gibson or whatever. Buy something. Maybe there's an instrument you've always wanted to play. Try to find a used one, or try to, take lessons or whatever. Because I've played a few different instruments. I don't play much now, but it was something that was I absolutely loved it whenever I was doing it. So I would take that just a hair step further. And like I said, sometimes, you start talking to people. Hey, yeah, I just started playing, guitar, just for an example. Oh, yeah, really? Well, let's hang out and play. I jammed with some guys I never would have met otherwise if we hadn't been talking about music when I was in college.
Mm-hmm.
And, at the time I was playing drums, and it was like, well, hey, our drummer's sick. Why don't you come jam with us? Sweet. And, they were a cool bunch of dudes. I never would have met them otherwise.
Yeah, and I think, you can take that, you can go anywhere you want with it on the instruments.
Yeah.
You can go out and buy the guitar, you can go buy a banjo, you can go buy a drum set, buy an accordion, if you want to be like Weird Al. Whatever, or, this is kind of a, I guess, a touchy subject for some people, some musicians, but you can get on your computer and you can find some software and you can make some pretty sweet music. There are a lot of programs now where you can actually use real instruments. You don't have to, most people immediately associate a computer with like electronic music, and that's not necessarily the case anymore. Just another example of technology. And maybe, one thing it's always kind of like, oh, people who make music on their computer, they're not real musicians. Well, maybe not. Maybe you have no talent really other than being able to keep time and put things where they need to go on the computer when you're laying out the music. But, if it sounds good, it's music. I mean, that's my personal opinion.
Oh, no, absolutely. I don't mean to interrupt, but no, that's something. I mean, some people, you may have a little bit of a disability that keeps you from being able to do that.
Yeah.
But, by God, you may have a great ear and know how stuff should be arranged.
Or how about even just spoken word,
Right.
It's technically not music, but it is. And that's something that involves nothing but a microphone and some sort of recording device. So
yeah. And I wanted to add one other thing. If, say, you already play an instrument and everything, take a leap, get out of your comfort zone, and post your music online. Maybe you want to be in a band, post it somewhere. I had a buddy a few months ago he's wanted to be in a band all the time. So he decided, hey, I'm going to put my vocals out there, and lo and behold, he got a couple offers.
There you go.
I mean, that's great. That's, if music's your dream, take a step towards making it a reality.
Yeah, no matter what it is, whether it's just to, have fun and produce something you like, or if you're wanting to make a career out of it, you got to jump out there and you just got to do it and take the criticism and build upon it. If you're an unsigned band or you're an artist or spoken word, you rap, play kazoo, we don't care. Send us your music. We want to check it out, and we'll tell you whether we like it, whether we're not. I mean, it's going to have to be really bad for us to say we hate it, but we could tell you what we do and don't like about it, and you can take that and build on it, and we'll help spread the word either way. Even if we don't like it or something, we would post it and let people check it out, because just because we don't like it doesn't mean anybody won't, but at least we would get the word out one way or another.
And absolutely, if you play the kazoo or maybe even like the tin whistle, be sure to send us something, because that's got to be awesome.
That would be so awesome if it was an all kazoo tin whistle band.
Oh, dude, that would be amazing.
Yes. All right. So last on my list is music education. That could be kind of what we just said, teaching yourself how to play an instrument, but more so learning the history of different styles of music, whatever you're into. One of my favorite things to do, and this can eat up time like nobody's business, is going online and looking up, finding different kinds of documentaries on former styles of music, artists or bands. One thing that ate up a lot of time was Metal Evolution, I think is what it was called. Did you ever see that?
No.
It was a series of shows that VH1 had, and basically each show was a different type of rock music. So it would be like, 70s rock, and then it would be like glam, and then it'd be punk, and then new wave British heavy metal, and then thrash metal, death metal, and they would just kind of break that down and go over kind of the history of the genre, the bands that are associated with it, what years, just go on and on and on and on. And the next thing, I don't know about anybody else, but when I see stuff like that, I get motivated to go check these bands out, and it just makes me want to be a part of it. Reading, that's another thing that I like to do as far as music goes, reading books that have to do with certain genres of music or artists. There's a couple, again, I can't think of them. Maybe that's something I could write an article on soon, but there's some different books I've read that just kind of cover the history of metal. One of them is from a guy's perspective where he was kind of like you said. He got motivated when he was a teenager to be in a band. He was in a band, and then he had to finally wake up and realize his band wasn't going to work, so he had to get a regular job. But he still has that passion, and a book like that, just reading someone's personal story through music is just amazing, and it just got me motivated to check out every band he was talking about, So, reading books and then using the internet to do research, that's something else people can, if you're a true music fan, you can take that next step and do that in 2015. So, you got anything else to add on that?
No, other than I actually loved the old series, like Behind the Music. I know it kind of became cliche, of course, especially whenever it was dealing with 80s bands, because...
It was very informative, though.
Huh?
It was very informative.
Oh, it was. It was just, like I said, everybody kind of started making fun of it because, well, it was usually about 80s bands, and every 80s band in the world broke up because of drugs.
Yeah.
So, and like every 90s band, pretty much someone committed suicide. I mean, I'm sorry about that, but they kind of did, seemed like anyway.
Yeah.
So I mean, it kind of became a little bit depressing and stuff, but like you said, it was very informative, and I learned a lot. And some of those movies, you hear about bands that, you would never have heard about otherwise. And I think specifically about, like, what was that, The Decline of Western Civilization?
Oh, the movie? Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. There was a couple bands on there. What was that one, like Anvil?
No,
What Anvil? Who was it?
Odin.
Oh, yeah. And
Odin. Odin.
I never would have heard of that band had I not watched that. And I mean, I say never. Chances are I probably wouldn't have, because I mean, who talks about Odin these days?
Yeah, that's exactly right. That's a band that nowadays people look at that movie and laugh, but I actually think they're cool. So, yeah. Sorry, I cut you off. Go ahead.
You're good. I agree. It's being educated with music. I know a lot of your, and maybe this is just kind of weird to say, and maybe this is wrong, but it seems like a lot of your, your quote unquote metalheads seem to be better at like knowing the history of the bands and stuff like that. Maybe that's just me. I think of, you get like, your battle jackets and all that stuff, and you start talking to these people about the bands on there, and they always have a story with all of them.
No, I think you're exactly right, because I think rock music at its core, and that's going, that's anywhere from Elvis all the way up to whatever you're going to listen to now, metal, rock, whatever. I think there's a passion behind it. A lot of times when you get together as a band, you're not setting out to be a millionaire. You've got a passion, and that's to make music. And I think metal, rock, rap, bluegrass, country. I think all that stuff is kind of where that stuff stems at. Pop music. Again, There's some decent pop music, but I think that's one reason why a lot of fans that don't listen to metal or rock or country or hip hop, but they listen to pop, they don't have the same appreciation, because it's just, what's the newest flavor of the month? What's the next big thing? And that's one reason I think iTunes is doing so well, is because instead of getting on there and buying a whole album and appreciating the album, they just go buy that single and for 99 cents, and then it's like next. What's coming up next?
Yeah.
So there's no real appreciation. Go ahead.
Well, and I remember, I cannot remember for the life of me what show I was watching. Maybe you'll remember, I don't know. But they were talking about how whenever they first got like introduced to like Cannibal Corpse and death metal and stuff like that, they, a bunch of friends that liked it sat around and started trying to write, the most gruesome lyrics and stuff like that they could, which, I mean, sounds like a weird hobby, but at the same time, they ended up forming a band and ended up becoming, I think, fairly popular as far as, by death metal standards anyway. I think of like bands like Hatebreed and stuff. There are few casual Hatebreed fans, but there are a tremendous amount of people who understand exactly what Hatebreed is trying to do. Like I said, you don't see that with pop music. And like you said, I think it's just well, this one has a beat I can dance to when I'm drunk.
That's exactly right. That's what it is.
And so let's try to fight that this year, and like you said, read a book, watch a documentary, something. Because like I said, I don't like the whole, like, there's some good pop music, don't get me wrong. I don't like the kind of phenomena behind it, where it's the constant next, stuff like that, like you said. So.
Yeah, and to kind of go against what you just said, one thing I want to try to do personally is I want to try to listen to more of this stuff, because you can speak for yourself, but I get pigeonholed a lot personally from other people I talk to that, oh, you just like that screaming stuff, or oh, you just like that hip hop stuff that's got the bad words in it.
Yeah, I get that too.
I don't, which is not the case at all. But to prove people wrong, I want to do some reviews on our website that, of Miley Cyrus, Katy Perry, what's that guy? I can't ever remember the stupid guy you hate. Blake Shelton. Like, I will do a Blake Shelton review just because people don't think that we can reach out of our comfort zone, what you said earlier. And that's go ahead.
I was going to say, you say that, and my wife has actually challenged me for this year to actually sit down and listen to some of the kind of pop country and stuff she listens to. So I've actually been challenged to do that this year. So, expect some of those.
Looks like we're both going to be doing something like that then.
I mean, who knows? I like to think of myself as open-minded musically. I will listen to anything from, like Beethoven and Chopin all the way up to, Cannibal Corpse and Pathology and Cattle Decapitation. Everything in between. So, what? Maybe I will learn to actually like it, or at the very least, maybe respect it. And at the end of the day, if I have, I'm a better person for it.
And maybe I'm speaking for myself on this, but I'm not afraid to come out and admit whether I like something or not. If I end up doing a Blake Shelton review and I end up finding a song on there that I think's really cool, I'm going to say it. I'm not going to say, oh, this sucks, just because we've said that in the past that we're not a fan.
Right.
And I'm not saying I'm going to be a fan if I listen to his stuff or anything, but I'm just going to be completely honest. If I like something, I like it regardless of how popular it is or what kind of music it is or whatever.
Well, see, one perfect example of that is I am not ashamed to say I absolutely love Brad Paisley's Whiskey Lullaby.
I haven't heard it, so I can't say.
It's the one, I think it's with Alison Krauss.
I know Alison Krauss, but I haven't heard that together.
It's an older song, actually. I mean, hell, that thing may be 10 years old, 5 or 10. Makes me feel old. But anyway, I mean, it's an older song. But it was a very pop country song. But it's just, there's something about it that I absolutely love it. Now, do I enjoy a lot of other Brad Paisley stuff? Well, no. But by God, I'm not afraid to admit that I absolutely love that song.
Kind of a side note, you were just talking about pop country. I heard some recent pop country songs that were popular several years ago. Like, do you remember the Big Green Tractor song?
Oh, yeah.
And at the time, I was like, this is the worst song ever. But now, you compare that song to what's being played now, New Country, and that song is, like, awesome.
Yeah, that's actually kind of sad to think about.
It's true, though. I mean,
it is, actually. I heard something the other day, though, that I actually kind of enjoyed, and I don't remember. Honestly, can't tell you who it was. My wife was listening to it, so I'm kind of scared. But actually, I like a good song with a story, though. And to me, that's at the heart of country music. It was designed to tell a story. Usually in country music, it was a sad story. But at its heart, they were storytellers. At least in my opinion, for the most part. And, if they tell a good story, I don't mind listening to it. So.
Yep, I agree. And it's all about the feel, I kind of feel when I hear, we've said this before, but I just can't drive it home enough. When I listen to the newer country stuff, I feel like I'm listening to a hip hop song with a guy with twang just talking over it.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it's kind of sad where it's gotten, but the good news is it seems to be a phase, and there are some good country artists. And I've tried on the Facebook page. I've actually tried until we got kind of sidetracked with Christmas music. I actually tried to promote some of that, and I'm going to attempt to do some more of that. Just kind of the people that a lot of, the bands and stuff, a lot of people haven't heard of. Some of them are actually getting some recognition now on the awards. I know a couple of them got nominations, so, that's always great. So.
Yeah, that's another thing that I kind of get pigeonholed with is, oh, why do you always just listen to bands that nobody knows? Well, I mean, what am I supposed to say to that? Like, I don't need to promote Blake Shelton and Jason Aldean because they're played on the radio every 2 seconds. But, we might need to promote Jake Orvis or any of those other bands that we saw that night, or any metal bands or local bands, whatever. So.
Yep.
So I think we've pretty much covered everything that we're kind of aiming to do for the new year. If you have anything to add, you want to hear us talk about something, you have questions, we can answer them on the air. If you've got something you want to see reviewed, if you got comments, anything about the show, please let us know. We got a contact section on our website, email, Facebook, Twitter, any of that stuff's available. So make sure to check it out. Brent, you got anything to add before we close out the show?
No, just everybody check out the Facebook page. We got. We're trying to get, quite a few more likes and everything on there. And feel free to post, music that you enjoy. The whole point is to kind of share music that a lot of people may not be up to date with. I know we've had a couple people start doing that, and that's fantastic. And, we want some more of that because we're trying to make kind of a community here. So.
And again, I can't stress it enough. It doesn't matter what kind of music it is you want to share. And it doesn't matter whether anybody likes or hates it. It's all about just getting the music out there, because all it takes is putting something out there for one person to hear. It could snowball and start somebody down a whole path of just awesome music, so.
Yeah, and even if you're like an unsigned band or somebody even trying to get, maybe you've got this killer solo, you're just, one person playing by yourself, but you've got a killer solo you want people to hear, get on the Facebook page, share it.
Yep, that's exactly right. And with that, we're going to get out of here. Until next time. See ya.
Take it easy.